Let us now understand the concept of at-risk foot. Patients who show the following criteria here can be termed as people who have high risk feet. This is published in Archives of Internal Medicine in the year 1998. History of prior amputation, history of prior foot ulcer keeps the patient in a very high risk category. Claudication on walking 200 meters, that means patient develops pain in any part of the lower limb depending upon the level of ischemia by walking a minimum distance of 200 meters, and he has to stop walking before he can resume to walk. And this is what is called the claudication distance. If it is 200 meters or less, it is indicative of high risk foot. Insensate foot, that is lack of sensation to touch with monofilament. How it is being done, how it has to be carried out, we will see in the subsequent part of the presentation. Major foot deformities, absence of pedal pulses, dorsalis pedis pulse or the posterior tibial pulse, or if the ABI is measured, ABI ankle brachial index less than 0.7. Anything more than 0.9 is normal. Prolonged venous filling time, we will see about it a little later, and pre-ulcerative cutaneous changes on the feet. All these make a patient to be classified as a high risk diabetic foot patient. What are the relative frequency of signs of diabetic foot? Remember, all diabetics are not having high risk feet. In 55% of the diabetics, the feet are normal. In 20% of them, the feet have mild risk factors. Another 20% of them, the feet show higher risk factors. And only in 5% of the patients of diabetes, there will be diabetic foot ulcers or critical limb ischemia. So, this is to say, we have to examine all patients to find out who are normal, who are mild risk, who are cases of high risk, who have critical limb ischemia or diabetic foot ulcer. It depends on various factors like the duration of diabetes, the habit of smoking, the control of diabetes, the other comorbidities, the associated arthritis and other orthopedic complications. So many factors, and the practice of walking barefoot, all these things contribute to increase the risk of a given patient for the diabetic foot complications. Remember this critical triad. Triad means 3. For a foot to be a high risk foot and to develop foot ulcers and problems, deformities of the foot of various nature, 63% of the feet with diabetic foot ulcers and complications show deformities. Diabetic neuropathy, 78% or 4/5 of the patients have diabetic neuropathy as the underlying factor for developing diabetic foot ulcers and complications. Similar number of patients, around 80% of them, trauma is the cause. Here trauma means it need not be a road accident. It could be a minor household trauma leading to a small cut or ulcer or a bleeding injury which neglected due to poor self foot care or due to inappropriate footwear or due to barefoot walking. This minor trauma coupled with diabetic neuropathy and the deformities that they have will make the foot prone for severe complications, as we see in this, the deep diabetic foot ulcer on the pressure area, which could later result in serious deeper infections and then of course can lead to further complications. So, the critical triad is deformities, diabetic neuropathy, particularly sensory neuropathy, and even minor trauma due to poor self-foot care or sometimes ill-fitting or inappropriate or no footwear. As we have already seen, diabetic foot syndrome does not develop in one day. It takes years. Over a period of 10 years, feet at risk, or around 50% of the people have at risk feet, and over a period of 10 years, 15% of them, they develop diabetic foot ulcers. The remaining 50% of the people who do not have at risk feet, they may not develop diabetic foot ulcers at all. But we have to identify those people who are at risk for diabetic foot complications, and there are 50% of the diabetics fall into that category, as we have already seen in our previous slide, and 15% of them do develop diabetic foot ulcer. Remember, 5% of this 50% of these people, 5% of them, of the diabetics, end up in amputations. So if you have 100 diabetics, 50 are not having at risk feet, 50 have at risk feet, 15 have diabetic foot ulcers in their lifetime, and 5% of them, of the diabetics, lose their limb. The rates of amputations and progression of diabetic foot complications are greater in men compared to women, and the duration of diabetes, the control of diabetes and comorbidities exert a tremendous influence in who progresses from at risk foot to foot ulcer and then on to amputation. We have been talking about the pressure points on the foot. Normally when we walk, the weight of our body is shifted onto the feet, and there are pressure points on different parts of the foot, but these are uniformly balanced. In diabetics, where there is destruction or deformation of the arch of the foot and the bony configuration of the foot, the pressure points are shifted in such a way that certain areas are associated with high pressure. Look here, this is a pressure point mapping done using a computerized device, and you see the metatarsal region of the fourth and the fifth toes. The heads of the metatarsal regions are the highest pressure points. In this particular charting, computerized charting, inappropriately high pressure distribution on these areas, and that is why this patient, you can see ulceration has developed on that pressure area. So one can really map a diabetic foot or anybody's foot for that matter, and to see how the pressure points are, whether there is a uniform distribution or there is an inappropriate high pressure distribution. Then you may ask me, supposing we find high pressure distribution in one area, we can give them corrective footwear, we can offload the pressure and see that the pressure is not converted into ulceration and further complications. About foot ulcers and diabetes, the story goes like this: 15% of diabetic patients have foot ulcers in lifetime. We have already seen in the previous slide. 15% of the foot ulcer patients, they develop osteomyelitis associated. 15% of the foot ulcers or 5% of the diabetics end up in amputation. There will be a 70% recurrence of the ulcer in the 7 years. Supposing the patient has an ulcer today, sure, in the next few years he is going to develop again and again ulcerations on different parts of the foot, unless and otherwise the pressure points are taken care of, the footwear is corrected, and he is explained about foot care. The quality of life of a patient with foot ulcer is much worse than the quality of life of a patient after amputation, because the foot ulcer will lead to lots of problems like pain, and sometimes the infection, the cellulitis, the other complications of foot ulcer. Sometimes amputation might seem to be better than the foot ulcer itself. That doesn't mean that we should amputate all foot ulcers. We should heal the foot ulcer and see it does not progress on to amputation. And again, patients with foot ulcer, they have always have the fear of recurrent ulcers or amputation. This is Wagner's classification of diabetic foot ulcers. He has staged the foot ulcers into 6 stages starting from 0 to 1. Stage 0, intact skin, there are pressure points, there is an impending ulcer that can come up, there is callus formation. That is stage 0, and in this stage if we pick up, offload the pressure, reduce the pressure points, and then decrease the callus formation, and then they remove the callus, excess callus, then we can prevent ulceration. Then is the superficial ulcer, not much deep. Then in a deeper ulcer up to the tendon bone or the ligament, then associated osteomyelitis is stage 3. Then you have got gangrene of the toes or forefoot, then gangrene of the entire foot is stage 5. So these are the different stages of foot ulceration, stage 0 to stage 5 as listed here. Amputations in diabetes. This is the tragic rule of 50. 50% of the amputations are transfemoral or transtibial. That means there is no foot or there is no foot as well as the lower part of the leg. 50% of the patients, second amputation will be necessitated in less than 5 years. 50% of the patients of amputation, they die in the next 5 years, not due to the complications of foot, but due to other cardio-metabolic complications of diabetes, particularly cardiovascular disease. Diabetes mellitus contributes to 80% of non-traumatic lower limb amputations. A great majority of them, remember, are preventable. If the diabetic patient is also a smoker, his vascularity is further compromised and he will suffer very easily and succumb to amputation. Smoking adds ghee to the fire.